Today you want to talk about Viking. What about it?
Well, we will talk about what is new at Viking and where they are going. And most people know Viking because of their huge scope and size. So I don't know if we can shed a whole lot of light on that, but we'll definitely be talking about what's new with them and again where we see them going.
Great. That's today on Dream Travel Share Unpacked.
If you'd like to receive an email version of today's show, along with our weekly travel opportunities, click on the link below to join our mailing list. We promise to only send you one email a week every Friday. You can unsubscribe at any time, and we won't share your email address with anyone else.
Our clients sometimes ask why we don't talk more about Viking.
Yeah, because they are our number one vendor. We sell more Viking than
Yeah.
we do anybody else. Probably not a big shock. And we've been asked before. They say, "Well, you guys don't promote Viking." Part of the reason that we love dealing with them, as you know, Kim. They're a pleasure for us to deal with, and for the most part, our clients come back raving fans from Viking Cruises. So
Yeah.
that's always good for us too. In reality, Viking is a marketing machine. They don't need us to promote them. I mean, if you're on Viking's mailing list, you probably get half a dozen brochures a week. That might be a bit
Yeah.
of an exaggeration, but
Well, sometimes it feels like it.
yeah, and certainly if you're on their email list, they're pretty careful about spamming people with email, but it's not unusual to get one or two emails a week from Viking as well. And again, just because of their incredible direct marketing strategy, generally people don't need us to promote them, where some of the other cruise lines, some of Viking's competitors or some of the other products out in the marketplace, we are raising awareness sometimes, and Viking doesn't need our help raising awareness. They're really, really good at
Yeah.
it.
What's new with Viking?
Yeah, well, they've got a whole bunch of new itineraries, and I will maybe get into that in just a minute. Again, I think with you have to remember this cruise line didn't really even exist a couple of decades ago, right? Well, it's not quite true. They've been around for almost 30 years now, but they started with 4 river ships, and in the late 90s, and they've grown into I think they've got 80 river boats now.
Crazy.
10, they launched their first ocean ship. I don't remember the exact year, but it's about 10 years ago. So I want to say 2015, they launched their first ocean ship. They've got, I think the 13th one just hit the water in the last couple of weeks. So,
Mm.
and the 2 expedition ships as well. So the growth of Viking's been off the charts. They went public about, I want to say, a year and a half ago. Their stock price has doubled since then. It's a pretty impressive organization. They're pretty slick.
So, what are some of the new itineraries?
So on River, one of the ones they announced recently was India, and
Ah,
it's a combination land and river tour. Like they do quite a bit of that in Europe. So it launched in 2000, or it's going to launch in 2027, and it sold out in, I think, a week or two.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they need to, they're going to obviously build some more ships, and it'll open up again. But if you want to do, there are a couple of other companies that actually do river cruises in India. But if you want to go with Viking, it'll be 2028 or 2029 at the earliest. Some space could open up on that, but it sold out very quickly. Um, they're tinkering with some of their European itineraries. You can do a river cruise now on the Rhine and Main. We might say Main River, but it's Main, Rhine and Main River, that goes from Nuremberg to Basel, for example. So that's a
Mm.
new itinerary for them. They're also doing one that goes from Nuremberg to all the way to Amsterdam. Um, they've been doing these for a while, but some people are maybe not aware of them. They do combination river and ocean cruises. So that's when you would do a, say, Basel to Amsterdam cruise and then transfer the same day to a Viking ocean ship and sail up into the, Scandinavian, Norwegian coast or something like that. So those are the ones worth looking at on the river, I think.
Great. What about ocean?
Yeah, over 25 new itineraries. If you go to their
Yeah.
website, you can take a look at them. And most of those are in the Mediterranean and the Baltic. And again, some of them are just variations on a theme. And Viking has gotten into doing back-to-back cruises and marketing those in a different way. Mostly because people are taking since the pandemic, people are taking longer vacations. So where they used to have their average itinerary would be, say, in the Med would be 9 to 11 days. They're enabling people to spend, 28 or 32 days in the Mediterranean now if you want, and
Mm.
then everything in between, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever you want. So you can start in Istanbul and end in, Lisbon, and zigzag across the Mediterranean over the course of the month if you wanted to. And so there's lots of those itineraries. They've got one that goes from London to Dublin. So that's again mostly the UK, Ireland, that has an extension into Highclere Castle. That's from Downton Abbey. People are nuts about that show. So
Hugely popular. I
yeah,
talk about that, Bob, with our clients at least 4 times a week.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then back in the Med, they're making more port stops in North Africa. So Casablanca, Tangier in Morocco, and I'm missing a third port, Tunis, in
Okay.
Tunisia. And one of the most popular ones, this is not a new itinerary, but one that's certainly getting renewed sort of interest, it's called Malta, Morocco, and the Mediterranean.
I
And it's
just saw
around,
that, and that's a 15-day,
yeah,
correct?
yeah, I
But
think I
yeah,
don't have it in front of me, but yeah, I want to say it's
yeah,
around 2 weeks. It's round trip Barcelona, so the air logistics are really easy, and
yeah.
you get to visit three really interesting. I mean, there's lots of ports in Spain and Italy as well on that itinerary, but Malta's, Valletta Malta is infinitely fascinating, and as you know, like Morocco is pretty cool too. So yeah, that
Yeah.
one's definitely worth looking at.
What about expedition? Anything new there?
Yeah, so expedition. So they have two expedition ships, Polaris and Octantis.
Mhm.
Sue and I've been on board Polaris, so we've got a ship tour video on our YouTube channel if folks want to go take a look. They've really thought this ship out well. Like of all the expedition ships I've been on, the Viking one has some great public space. Everything has a view to the outside. The main theater has glass on three sides. It's really interesting what they've done with this ship. If you don't think you're an expedition person, then get on one of these ships in the Great Lakes. So it's the same ship. It would be a stretch to call it. They go from Toronto to Milwaukee, and there's a few variations on that. 1 week, you can do up to 2 weeks if you want. Expedition would be a bit of a stretch in the Great Lakes, although you do have to get on and off Zodiac boats in some of the ports of call to tender to shore. But well worth, just the ships themselves are quite interesting and well worth looking at. But in terms of what they're doing, they obviously do Antarctica like everybody does. They do Great Lakes and aspects of Greenland and the Canadian Northwest Passage
Mhm.
in our summer months. But they're doing what's called a longitudinal, longitudinal world cruise. So most world cruises travel westward almost exclusively. There's occasional exceptions to this, but most world cruises, they'll start in Florida or, California and sail westward across the globe, and then, 8 or 9 months later end up back where they started. But this one, they're doing long rather than the latitudes, traveling, west to east. They are traveling north to south or vice versa. And this is, obviously they have to reposition their ships with the weather. But yeah, you would start in, say, Bergen or Tromsø or somewhere, way up north in Norway and finish in Antarctica.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is pretty cool. And this is over the course of,
Yeah.
they've got a few different variations, but they'd be 80 or 90 days. It's pretty cool.
Wow. Wow, that's great. What can we expect from Viking in the next few years?
Growth and lots of it. It's
Yeah.
they continue their trajectory. They are apparently well financed because they're not slowing down. We've seen, some of the other big cruise companies really slow down their new build um, programs. Not Viking, right? So they've got 100 ships now, up from, again, four at the beginning of this century. So it's been insane. They're going to have 11 more ocean ships and 26 more river ships before the end of this decade. So,
Wow.
so yeah,
Wow.
11 more ocean ships and I think it's 2031, so slightly longer than but yeah, in the next 6 years. And interestingly, the Viking Libra, I'm going to make sure I got that right. Yeah, the Libra, they're going
Mhm.
to join the fleet in 2026, so next year, and it's going to be the world's first hydrogen-powered cruise ship. It'll be a zero emissions vehicle.
Fantastic. Do you think then they'll be able to get into the Norwegian fjords?
Yeah, well, they definitely. I'm sure that partially motivated it because the Norwegian, and it is a Norwegian company, so this would definitely be on their radar
Yeah.
with being
Yeah.
Viking. I'm sure that's part of the motivation, and more generally, just because that's the way that the industry is going, right? So,
Yeah.
the cruise ship industry has committed to a zero emission target by 2050, which gives everybody time to upgrade their fleets and everything else. Vikings first to the party, right? So
Yeah.
there's other companies out there that have hybrid powered vehicles, HX and Hurtigruten, I think as well, both have. No, I think it's just HX. Anyway, has hybrid powered, so electric powered vehicles, and they also run on biodiesel when they're not being powered by electric motors. But this is a bit of a game changer. There's a few other companies that have ships in the yard right now that will be hydrogen powered, but Viking will be the first one to have one carrying passengers in operation.
That's fantastic. Good to know. Anything else we need to know on Viking?
If you're a Viking fan, and there's plenty of them out there, yeah. Well, as always, we tell people, we are more than happy to help you with Viking. We are probably one of the few. You've been on Viking River and Ocean. I've been
Yes.
on Viking River, Ocean, and Expedition. We
Hmm.
and Viking doesn't really offer FAMs. They don't. They occasionally do them, but which upsets
They're too
travel agents.
busy.
Yeah, well, and their ships are full, so they don't have a lot of
Yeah.
space for travel trade people. And so we think we're pretty knowledgeable. We know we're pretty knowledgeable about Viking. We enjoy working
Yeah.
with them. We can always get you an additional $100 per person onboard credit that's not available on direct bookings. So yeah, we'd love to help people with their Viking cruises at any time. We enjoy working with them.
Well, thanks, Bob. But what are we going to be talking about next week on Dream Travel Share Unpacked?
Yeah, next week we are going to dive into, again, once a month or so, we do a destinations feature. We're going to be talking about the Great Lakes. And again, as I mentioned earlier, Viking's a good way to get there. So we will take a deeper dive into the Great Lakes, why you might be overlooking something that is pretty much right in your backyard.
Fantastic. I look forward to it.
All right, we'll see you then.
Bye for now.
If you enjoyed this video blog, it really helps us when you like, or better yet, subscribe to our channel so that we know the best content to produce for you. If you want to book a cruise or packaged land vacation, then we'd love to help you out. We know the products and destinations very well, and we can always get you something not available on direct bookings. Our coordinates are in the notes below. Also, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter yet, you get one email a week every Friday with some commentary and some different deals that we're seeing in the marketplace. We don't share your information with anyone else, and if you decide it's not for you, then we're sorry to see you go, but there's an unsubscribe button at the bottom of every email. See you next time.
Well, thanks, Bob. But what are we going to be talking about next week on Dream Travel Share Unpacked?
Haven't a clue. Let me look.